So I have to leave kind of early today. So as I did in the first one, instead of our usual get ready for the day routine where we do our head to toe kind of warm up routine, is making sure you're here with me. You are great. We're going to do some body mechanics, which we normally don't have time for because we can't do everything. I know everybody has to get on with their day. So I don't talk about this as much as I would like to in the morning, so I thought I would take the opportunity this morning to do that. So we did some in the beginner routine. This is the intermediate routine. So it's a little bit more kind of dance oriented. So we're just going to do a very quick get moving, and then we're going to move on to that. So just if you put your feet a little wider than your shoulders, and today I want you to think about having your entire foot on the ground. So your heels, the balls of your feet, your toes, even your arches. I want you to feel the ground with all those parts of your feet. And let's take a breath in, and take a breath out, and take a breath in, and take a breath out, and let's spin our knees just a little bit and go up and down with that. This is going to be a 30-second get ready for the day routine, and then we'll move on to body mechanics. And opening and closing your fingers and your toes too if you can. And giving your wrists a little roll in. And a little roll out. And moving just your lower arm. And lifting just your elbows up. And folding those arms, bend your knees a little. And we're just going to twist from side to side. This is the very accelerated version. And coming back up. And pull your toes to your knee. Stretch out that back of your leg. And the other leg, stretching your toes to your knee. And we're just kind of bob up and down. We're going to shift our weight forward. Just kind of bob up and down with your heels. We're going to come back to that though because today is body mechanics. I'm going to take the opportunity of having a little less time to talk about that. Now, you probably heard me talk about this before because we, especially in our choreography workshop, even if you're not necessarily wanting to do the dance itself, we do talk about a lot of this. And this first one is particularly something I always come back to because nothing happens in a day. This is stuff that you have to do continuously to get it into your muscle memory. Like in any kind of dance, we repeat hour after hour, day after day, year after year, the same movements because it's all about muscle memory. So I want you to think about your shoulders and hips as a square. So you've got these two corners, and here's your sides. And I want you, when you're moving the square, I don't want the square to move. I want the square to just stay in the same position it is, parallel to the floor. I don't want the shoulders to go this way or that way, forward or back. I want the hips to go. I don't want you to tilt. I want you to just stay flat. And when you move, you've got a flat surface right here. And you're just going to slide your square along that flat surface. Can't see the comments from here, but I did read them. So glad you're here. So taking our stance again and giving our knees a little bend. So the more we bend our knees, the better range of movement we have. But for this exercise, just a little bit to make it easier to move. And we're in the middle with our weight evenly distributed. And then we're going to shift our weight to one leg. So I want you to feel like you're pushing to the ground with one leg. Now this is just in your mind because you're not actually moving anything, because if you would think too much about it, then you're going to be starting to mess up your square. You don't want your square messed up. So that's here, and then you're sliding that square, you're pushing to the ground, and you're sliding that square onto one leg. And I want you to do what they call stacking. I want it to be stacked, to be evenly distributed over the one leg. So your hips on their side, and your square is right over your leg. And then you can pick that one up. And when you're stacked, and that square is stacked over your leg, you have a lot of freedom of movement. You can do anything with this leg, right? You can move it wherever you want it to go. Pick it up. You can do anything. So that's why this is important to have that square very firmly over your leg. It's the same thing when you're walking, doing anything in life, but if you're dancing or doing CrossFit, whatever it is you do, super important. So putting your leg back down, I'm going to take that square, and again, remember this flat surface here, and keeping that square as you slide over to the other leg. Everything is stacked, and your foot is also flat, so all the pieces of it are touching the ground, and this is coming up. So you can try wiggling around, or just picking it up, or just testing your balance, making sure that weight is there. If you want to do a turn, that's what it has to be, right? Turn that, however it is that you do your turns. So that's the same thing as you're going forward. If you're going to walk forward, you're going to take that square, you're going to shift it over one leg. That's going to free this leg up. Take your step, and you're sliding it over that flat surface. You're stacking it on this leg. Forward, you're taking that square and sliding it over this leg. Then you're ready to go. So if you need to keep your balance, or you just need to, maybe you're going across a log across a ravine, or maybe you're on a balance beam if you're a gymnast, and instead of taking chances, get into the habit of shifting that square, and shifting that square, and shifting that square. So you have a very secure stance as you're doing that. You know, maybe in the Shiketti School of Dance, they even do, which I'm learning about now because my school was different. We used to open our hips when we were putting our leg to the back, and in the Shiketti, you really keep those hips even. You're trying to keep them even when you're lifting your leg to the back. It's been a minute, so I don't know if I can do that now, but yeah, you know, it's very interesting. It's a very interesting, very smart school of dance. So it's something I was never kind of made aware of when I was a ballerina. So another thing we talked about in the first session was our posture. So, you know, we do this exercise when we roll our shoulders back. That's really just to warm up, but I also want you to think about, it's like a string is pulling your chest up to the sky. So you're really getting a nice posture here. And I want you to do that throughout the day. Whenever you think of it, pull those shoulders back, give yourself a nice posture, and it'll hold for a few seconds, then you'll forget about it. Your shoulders will sink forward again. But if you do this consistently, slowly but surely, your body is going to remember that. It's gonna automatically think, oh, shoulders back. And your posture is gonna get better and better as you do that. So, another thing for this intermediate routine, now this is mostly dance related, but just something to think about when we're moving our arms, that when we want to do a longer movement is to lead that movement from the elbow. So if I'm lifting my hand up and I want to point over there, but I really want to make it really juicy. Instead of lifting up and pointing, I'm going to start that movement with my elbow. And I'm going to point, lift up my elbow, 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 and then I'm going to point over there. That elbow is coming up and pointing. So you see the difference as when I just point. Now, this can also be a way to do it if you want it more direct. But if I really want to make that movement broader, I'm starting from my elbow. And this is something you can do anywhere. So if I'm going to ask you a question, why? Why? Or even bringing the arms up, instead of just bringing them up, I'm saying, because we can do the same movement, but if we're using a different part of our body, it makes the movement look very, very different. So that's another of the things I want you guys to do. Last but not least, we're in our choreography workshop, which, so sorry, Flair Flies, we're gonna have to skip until Friday. We're doing body isolations. So we're doing our shoulders, this is all just practice, moving one shoulder, moving the other shoulder, moving one at a time. And then you can go into this, but you want, as you see, it's just the shoulders moving, not the rest of your body. And that's what isolation is, down. But the one I want to talk about is the one that we do in our piece later on, where we're just kind of pulsing like that. And that comes from your rib cage, really. So I want you to take your rib cage and just kind of pop it out and come back in. Now this can be a very small movement. This is, I try to make it as big as possible so you guys can see it, but it can also be very small. It's just boom, boom. It's like a pulse, rib cage going in, coming back. Rib cage coming in, coming back. You see the upper back's moving a little bit, but it's that upper body that's moving. And that's an isolation we use a lot in Latin dance. And this one we're having fun. But it's something I want you guys to start practicing, because it does take a while if it's a part of your body that you haven't activated before. I see that a lot in the classes. That's why I like to go through and explain everything in detail, because it's impossible to know. Very often our eyes deceive us, and we try and imitate a movement without really knowing how it's done. So I want you guys to start just kind of popping your ribs up and bring them back. Popping them up, bring them back. Again, does not have to be big, just as far as you can move. So we can start getting to these kind of movements and adding them to our routines. So my beautiful Flair Flies, I'm sorry I have to cut it short today. I hope you enjoyed the body mechanics. Let me know, shoot me a message if you want to do more of that kind of thing. And we'll get back to our usual morning routine on Friday. I just wanted to get with you guys and do something this morning, so we weren't completely starting our day without seeing each other. So, Flair Flies, my love to you. Have a wonderful day. Message me with any questions or any suggestions, stuff you want to do. And I will see you on Friday at the latest. But maybe tonight, maybe we'll hop on and go live. All right, my Flair Flies, have a good day. Bye.